if you have anything, come out as fast as possible and get it to any detachment or
Jack just absolutely
any
loves
police
bugs,
service that you have
dinosaurs,
available to talk to.
anything like that. But Lily loves girly things, but she also loves doing everything with Jack, bugs. They're like best friends, not just brother and sister.
The holding out.
It was Friday, May 2nd, 2025. The Sullivan household sat surrounded by dense forest and narrow gravel roads, an isolated property where the morning light filtered softly through tall spruce trees, and the air carried the scent of damp earth and pine. Inside, the family started their day. The hum of the coffee maker filled the small kitchen, while faint children's laughter echoed from the living room just moments earlier. Lily and Jack were home with their parents and their baby sister, Meadow, a warm and familiar family morning in the quiet countryside. But sometime after 10 a.m., everything changed. The calm routine was broken. When their parents checked on them, Lily and Jack were gone. No noise. No sign of struggle. Just silence, the kind of silence that presses against your ears, heavy and unnatural, as if the world itself had stopped moving. The disappearance triggered an immediate police response. Within minutes, RCMP officers swarmed the area, their patrol vehicles kicking up clouds of dust along the narrow gravel roads, red and blue lights flashing against the dense wall of forest. They issued a vulnerable missing persons advisory, the alert echoing across radio stations and news broadcasts, urging anyone with information to come forward. Drones flew overhead, their faint buzzing drifting through the treetops as cameras scanned the ground below for any movement or clue. K9 units swept the trails, the sharp barks of the search dogs cutting through the still air, handlers guiding them through mud, undergrowth, and tangled roots. Helicopters scanned the dense tree canopy, their blades chopping through the sky, casting moving shadows over the search teams below. Volunteers from across the province arrived, some carrying walking sticks, others equipped with flashlights and maps, combing through swamps where the water reached their knees, over steep hills, and through thick brush that snagged their clothes and slowed every step. At its peak, more than 160 people searched over several square kilometers, a vast human chain, each person moving carefully, eyes scanning every inch of ground for a single sign of the missing children. But despite the massive effort, there was nothing. Not a shoe. Not a thread of clothing. Just an unbroken, suffocating absence. Had the children wandered off? Could they have been taken? These were the questions that echoed through the minds of investigators, family, and neighbors alike, unsettling possibilities that carried equal weight. A single small shoe print was discovered on a damp patch of earth near the property, the tread faint but visible, yet even that could not be confirmed as Lily's or Jack's. It sat there like a fragile whisper of a clue, vulnerable to wind, rain, and doubt. RCMP did not find evidence of abduction, but they refused to rule it out. Every piece of information, no matter how minor, was analyzed. Detectives stood over maps spread across tables, drawing lines, circling areas, comparing times. The timeline was narrowed. The last confirmed sighting of the children was the afternoon of May 1st, in public, with their family, laughing, moving through the day like any other children, unaware that it would be the last time they were seen by anyone outside their home. From that point on, every minute of video footage, every witness statement, became critical. Security cameras were rewound frame by frame, witnesses were re-interviewed, and scraps of testimony were pieced together like fragments of a puzzle whose image still refused to appear. More than 54 interviews were conducted, some people even taking polygraph tests. Each interview room felt heavy with tension. A single recorder sat on the table, its tiny red light blinking as voices filled the air. Investigators leaned forward, hands folded, eyes locked on the person across from them, searching for the slightest shift in tone or body language. Some witnesses recounted exactly where they were on the morning of May 2nd. Others struggled to remember, pausing for long moments as they searched their minds for details. And for a few, the process went deeper. Polygraph tests, their palms wired with sensors, every heartbeat, every breath measured, as if the truth could be caught in a graph of peaks and lines. Hundreds of hours of surveillance and dashcam footage were collected. In a darkened room filled with monitors, teams of officers sat side by side, rewinding, zooming, and freezing frames. Video from traffic cameras, storefronts, gas stations, even private home security systems, was pored over frame by frame. Headlights glowed in the night, figures passed in and out of view, and every movement was scrutinized. Somewhere in that ocean of footage, investigators hoped there might be a glimpse, a shadow, a vehicle, or a fleeting image of Lilly or Jack. The RCMP's major crime unit, digital forensics experts, and behavioral sciences joined the case. These were specialists brought in when cases went beyond the ordinary, experts who could break down data trails, map cell phone movements, and study patterns of behavior. In one corner, digital forensics teams examined hard drives and cloud accounts, hunting for deleted files, hidden messages, or location pings. In another, behavioral profilers analyzed the facts, building psychological models of who might take two children in broad daylight, and why. By June, the number of tips had grown to nearly 500. Every single one was investigated. Phone lines stayed open around the clock. Some tips came from across the province, others from different parts of Canada. A neighbor thought they'd seen a strange car on the gravel road. A fisherman believed he'd heard children's voices near the lake at night. A shopkeeper reported a man and two small children who looked nervous while buying food. Each tip, no matter how unlikely, was logged, assigned, and checked. Officers knocked on doors, drove miles to remote cabins, and searched barns, sheds, and abandoned properties. Still, the trail remained cold. No new evidence. No confirmed sightings. It was as if the two children had vanished into thin air. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. And the unanswered questions grew heavier, pressing against the investigation, against the family, and against an entire community desperate for the truth. The search had not stopped, but hope was becoming harder to hold on to. In June, authorities announced a reward of up to $150,000 for any information that could help bring Lilly and Jack home. The press conference was held in the town's modest community hall. Cameras clicked as reporters filled the front rows, their pens poised above notepads. The RCMP spokesperson stood at the podium, the weight of 3 months of unanswered questions etched into his face. Behind him, a large photo of Lilly and Jack, smiling, eyes bright, rested on an easel. Their innocent faces stared out at the crowd, a reminder of why everyone was there. The announcement was clear. A reward of up to $150,000, the largest many locals had ever heard of in a case like this, was being offered for any information that could help bring Lilly and Jack home. The amount was meant to spark memories, to nudge loose any details someone might have been holding back, a passing vehicle, a conversation overheard, a sighting that seemed insignificant at the time. The message was simple. Nothing is too small to matter. 3 months after they vanished, there were still no answers. By now, the forest had gone from the lush greens of spring to the heavy, darker shades of early summer. Trails once churned up by dozens of boots had begun to reclaim themselves, grass and weeds growing over the footprints of searchers. The Sullivan home stood quieter than ever, the swing set in the yard unmoving, toys left on the porch gathering dust. Inside, the air carried the faint scent of the children's belongings, untouched since the day they disappeared. The kitchen table still had Meadows' highchair pushed up against it, a quiet reminder that life in the house had not stopped, but it had changed forever. The investigation remained active, but each day without a breakthrough felt like another step further from the truth. Tips still trickled in, but fewer than before. The RCMP continued to assure the public that the case was a priority, but whispers began to circulate in the community, people wondering if the answers might never come. For the Sullivan family, every day without their children felt like an eternity. Morning light no longer brought comfort. Instead, it marked another day that Lilly and Jack were gone. Their bedrooms remained exactly as they had left them, small beds neatly made, favorite stuffed animals resting on pillows, storybooks left open on nightstands. The family kept their routines, because breaking them felt like admitting defeat. Meals were eaten, chores were done, but the absence was everywhere, in the quiet moments before bed, in the way the front door was always locked twice, in the way every phone call made hearts skip a beat in hope it might be the one that ended the nightmare. Birthdays passed without candles or laughter. The family kept photos of Lily and Jack on the fridge, each picture like a frozen piece of time, a place they couldn't return to. Friends and relatives visited, bringing food, offering company, but there were no words that could fill the space left behind. And for the community, the mystery cast a shadow that refused to lift. Lansdowne Station was not the same. The small-town safety that had defined it for decades now felt fractured. Parents kept their children close, no longer letting them wander down to the creek or play in the woods alone. Every unfamiliar car was noticed, every stranger watched. The case had changed the rhythm of life. Neighbors who once waved from their driveways now gathered in quiet conversations, trading theories, rumors, and the latest scraps of information from the investigation. Local businesses kept posters of Lily and Jack taped to their windows. The corner store had a donation jar on the counter to help fund search efforts, coins clinking as customers dropped them in. At church services, their names were spoken aloud in prayer, week after week. Community events often began with a moment of silence, the room heavy with unspoken fear and grief. This was no longer just the Sullivan family's tragedy, it was everyone's. The mystery hung over the town like an unending storm cloud, darkening even the brightest summer days. It crept into conversations, into school hallways, into quiet moments before sleep. People wondered if the truth was somewhere close, hidden in plain sight, or if it had slipped far away, beyond their reach. As July turned into August, the reward remained unclaimed. The photos of Lily and Jack still hung in shop windows, their smiles unchanged, but to those who looked at them each day, there was a growing ache, the fear that the faces might one day be remembered not for their safe return, but for the mystery that took them away. Two young siblings, gone in broad daylight from their own home. The thought is almost impossible to comprehend. In a place where neighbors know one another by name, where the days are marked by the steady rhythm of rural life, two children vanished, not from a crowded street, not from a distant vacation, but from the safety of the place they were meant to be most protected. The home still stands in silence, its windows reflecting the shifting sky, its walls holding the echoes of voices that have not been heard in months. No evidence. No confirmed witnesses. No trace. The search teams have long since packed up their equipment. The tire tracks from RCMP vehicles have faded from the gravel roads. The boots that once pounded through the forest trails have been cleaned and stored away. Yet the questions remain. No discarded clothing. No abandoned toys. No signs in the underbrush to mark where small feet may have traveled. Just an absence, heavy, unexplainable, and cruelly precise. Somewhere, the truth is out there, buried in silence, waiting to be uncovered. Perhaps it lies in the memory of someone who has yet to speak. Perhaps it rests beneath the surface of a pond, at the end of an overgrown path, or hidden in the forgotten corner of an attic. The truth may be out in the open, disguised by normalcy, blending into the background of everyday life. Or it may be locked away in the mind of one person, a person who carries it like a shadow, unseen but always present. Until then, the question remains. What really happened to Lily and Jack Sullivan? It is the question that keeps the family awake at night, staring into the dark, hoping for a phone call that will end the waiting. It is the question that lingers in the minds of investigators, the one case file they cannot close, the one puzzle they cannot solve. It is the question that hovers over every conversation in the town. Whispered in grocery store aisles, discussed over dinner tables, spoken quietly between friends when they think no one else can hear. The mystery has no expiration date. Seasons will change. The trees around the Sullivan home will shift from green to gold to bare, and back again. But until the day the truth comes to light, the absence of Lily and Jack will remain a wound in the heart of Nova Scotia, one that no amount of time can heal. And somewhere, someone knows the answer. Because children don't just disappear. Not like this.